Chapter 1. When Monica Sue woke up, she discovered she'd become an overnight internet sensation, but not in a good way. The true face of the Sue heiress? Monica, the pretentious coquette who destroyed a family. The wife returns. How long can the mistress of the Sue family last? The headlines were everywhere. Monica scrolled through the barrage of stories on her phone, her eyes scanning rapidly, her expression unreadable. They accused her of being a homewrecker, the woman who stole Simon from his family. Some even went so far as to claim she'd stolen a child's mother, volunteering to play stepmom, only to sever the boy's bond with his real mom. Her father had already issued a stern ultimatum. Come back to the Sue estate immediately and explain yourself. She threw on a jacket and headed out, not expecting what or who was waiting on the other side of the door. Sophia, CEO of a rising MCN startup, Simon's ex-wife, and now, the so-called victim at the center of a nationwide scandal. But at this moment, she looked nothing like a strong, successful woman. Miss Sue, Sophia's voice quivered. Can you please give me my husband back? Monica was already in a foul mood, and the sight of Sophia only made it worse. I'm sorry, MSN, she said icily, but I don't believe I owe you that conversation. She turned to leave. Sophia's voice broke into a sob as she grabbed Monica's arm and fell to her knees. I'm begging you. You have everything: wealth, status, a life of luxury. You could easily find someone better. But I only have Simon left. And Tom. Tom can't live without his mother. Monica made no move to help her up. Instead, she looked down at her with steely eyes. To be honest, she said coldly, you were never fit to be Tom's mother. With that, she wrenched her arm free and strode away. But she hadn't even reached the Sue estate barely half an hour later when her phone lit up with a storm of notifications. Robin, her best friend, had sent her a link. Monica clicked on it. Sophia was live streaming. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke to tens of thousands of viewers. If it weren't for the Sue heiress, she wept. Simon, our son, and I would still be living happily together as a family. She flashed photos of their once happy trio, instantly drawing sympathy from the public. Online, the backlash was swift and brutal. Viewers, misled and quick to vilify the wealthy, swarmed like sharks in bloodied water. As the daughter of a billionaire, Monica became the perfect target. The live comments were a flood of vitriol. Homewreckers should die. Shameless mistress. And those were the mild ones. Some even started cursing her family. As Monica watched the stream of hate fly across the screen, it felt as if the words might leap off her phone and slap her in the face. Then came the video, the confrontation at her doorstep. Someone had filmed the entire encounter. In it, Sophia looked like the picture of helplessness, while Monica came across as cold and cruel. The public had made up its mind. To them, she was the venomous seductress who had shattered a happy home. Back at the Sue estate, her father was furious, pacing with disappointment written all over his face. Moni, with your looks and background, you could have had any decent man. Why did it have to be one with baggage? Monica exhaled heavily. Dad, it's not what you think. Simon and Sophia divorced a long time ago. We've only been together for a year. How does that make me the mistress? Chapter 2. Back then, it was Sophia who had abandoned her husband and child, leaving Simon and Tom behind. That was the only reason Monica ever had a chance to enter Simon's life. It all started a year and a half ago. On the day they met by accident, Monica had been forced into a blind date by her father. Already in a foul mood, she drove aimlessly through the city, turning into a narrow alley. Her vision suddenly constricted. She squinted to get a better look at the road ahead, when suddenly, a young boy darted into the street. Startled, Monica slammed on the brakes. The violent inertia threw her forward, her chest slamming into the steering wheel. Wincing through the pain, she jumped out of the car and ran toward the child. Are you okay, sweetie? She quickly pulled him aside and checked him over. The boy was 4 or 5 at most, clutching a rubber ball tightly in his hands. He didn't seem frightened. In fact, he looked up at her with a sunny smile. You're really pretty, miss. Only then did Monica's heart settle back into place. Looking at him more carefully, she realized just how adorable he was. Plump cheeks, rosy face, bright eyes. What's your name? Did you lose your parents? she asked softly. The boy paused, confused by the question, his brow furrowed in deep thought. Monica assumed he'd gotten lost, just as she was about to take him to the car and help look for his parents. A man came charging toward them from a distance. "Don't move! Put the kid down!" He wore flip-flops and shorts, with a greasy spatula in hand, an image so ridiculous it was almost cartoonish. Simon had been in the middle of whipping up a lavish braised pork belly dish for his son. He'd turned around for just a second, and Tom had vanished. Panic-stricken, he ran out into the street, only to see a woman trying to pull Tom into her car. "Damn human trafficker!" he shouted. "Snatching kids in broad daylight?" Simon lunged toward her, trying to pry Tom out of Monica's arms. Monica froze in fear. The man was unkempt, bearded, looking every bit like a dangerous criminal. What if he was the trafficker? Looking at the child's innocent face, Monica's protective instincts kicked in with full force. Like a mother hen shielding her chick, she pulled Tom behind her, then whipped out a pepper spray from her bag. "I'm his dad! Give me back my son!" The man shouted. "You're his dad? And I'm his mom." Then, Monica snapped back, not believing a word. They didn't even look alike. Without another word, he tried to grab the boy. Monica, in turn, sprayed the pepper spray at him, hard. Had he not dodged in time, he would have been in serious pain. The two of them wrestled back and forth in the middle of the street. A bizarre tug-of-war over a child. It didn't take long before a crowd gathered, and someone called the police. Once they arrived, the misunderstanding was quickly cleared up. Turns out, the scruffy man really was the boy's father. Trying to mask her embarrassment, Monica scolded him. "How careless can you be? You lost your kid while cooking dinner? If you were busy, couldn't his mother keep an eye on him? She was too busy arguing with me, and she even called the cops." Simon muttered. Monica blinked, slightly stunned. Then she recalled how, moments ago, in her panic, she'd blurted out that she was the kid's mother. Her face flushed. She had wanted to vent her frustration, being forced on yet another date by her father. But this man, this chaotic, barefoot, spatula-wielding man, had somehow mistaken her, a Sioux family heiress, for a kidnapper. Who kidnaps children in a Porsche Panamera? Oddly enough, his clumsy sarcasm made her anger dissipate. He gave her a lopsided, roguish smile. "I'm divorced. It's just me raising him now," Simon said, matter-of-factly. Before Monica could respond, he glanced down at the spatula in his hand. "Oh no! My braised pork, it's still on the stove. Tom, let's go!" And just like that, the man and his son took off running. The image of the father and son disappearing into the distance struck a strange chord in Monica. Her own relationship with her father had always been distant and strained. Tom looked back as he ran, waving at her with a sweet grin. Monica couldn't help but laugh. If someone had told her then that she'd one day fall for this disheveled single dad, and be publicly crucified as a pretentious coquette for it, she would have told them they were out of their damn mind. Chapter 3. Ever since the online harassment began, Monica had been confined to her home. Meanwhile, Sophia's live streams continued unabated, with the support of her MCN media network. The rumors only escalated, trending multiple times on social platforms. Paparazzi hovered around the Sioux estate like flies, waiting to capture anything they could twist into headlines. What Monica didn't expect was for Oliver to show up in person just a few days later. Given the scandal, she had assumed this potential suitor would back off, especially after she'd rudely stood him up on their blind date. Distracted by her entanglement with Simon, Oliver sat across from Monica's father, his expression solemn and sincere. "Uncle Sue," he said, "if Monica and I publicly announce our engagement now, this wave of rumors will naturally collapse on its own. Moreover, a union between our families could also create tremendous business synergy. From any angle, this is a win-win solution." Old Master Sue remained silent, deep in thought. Monica's heart sank. She knew her father well. This kind of silence meant he was seriously considering it. "No, I don't agree," she blurted out in panic. "I already have a boyfriend. I'm not marrying him." Oliver didn't respond. He simply offered her a knowing smile. "Moni, enough." Her father's voice was cold and sharp, slicing through the room. You don't understand. This is the most practical way to resolve everything. Oliver is a decent young man, much more reliable than that Simon. This matter, I'll decide for you. Monica's eyes nearly bulged out of her head. Who gave you the right to decide for me? She screamed. This is my life. No one has the right to make that choice but me. Her desperate, hysterical protest did nothing to change her father's stance. Furious, she hurled a teacup across the room and stormed upstairs. Curled under her blanket, Monica couldn't hold back her tears. No one truly understood just how deeply she feared marriage. She had grown up watching her mother spiral into despair after discovering her father's affair. And not only had her father refused to repent, he even allowed the mistress to show up at their home, humiliating her mother face to face. Monica had been just a child then. Her mother had already been battling severe postpartum depression after giving birth to her. Through medication, therapy, and sheer will, she had begun to heal. But that confrontation, coupled with her husband's cold indifference, shattered her completely. Her depression relapsed. Monica would never forget the sight she stumbled upon that day. Her mother slumped beside the bathtub, one wrist submerged in the blood-tinted water. Crimson rippled throughout the tub like a blooming tragedy. She had screamed, begged, shaken her, pleaded with her mother to wake up, but her eyes never opened again. When her father finally arrived, he was devastated. He sobbed uncontrollably, racked with guilt and panic. But it was too late. She was gone. Since then, guilt had become a shadow that haunted Sue Sr.'s every step. He doted on Monica to an extreme. Over the years, countless women tried to enter his life, even his loyal assistant Hudson harbored silent affection for him. But he never remarried. Yet despite his love, that childhood trauma left a permanent mark on Monica. She never trusted men again. And marriage? It became a symbol of betrayal, a trap she swore to avoid. She had told herself countless times, this life, I'm destined to walk alone, until Simon showed up. That scruffy, single father with baggage in tow, and an oddly gentle soul. Chapter 4. Monica locked herself in her room, fiddling with her EVA figurines as she replayed the scene of her unexpected second encounter with Simon. Back in the day, her father used to take her to roam the ghost markets at night. On a whim, she once decided to go alone, driving herself out to the bustling maze of stalls. The night market was a chaotic tapestry of sights and sounds, but Monica's gaze was immediately caught by a particular booth, one specializing in collectible figurines, all exquisitely crafted and meticulously preserved. Her eyes fell on a limited edition EVA Asuka Unit 02, and she couldn't look away. How much for this Unit 02? She asked. The vendor was a middle-aged man, with a little boy, around 4 or 5 years old, sitting quietly beside him. The moment struck Monica with a strange sense of déjà vu. Then the boy smiled at her and waved. Pretty lady, do you like this one? Only then did Monica recognize him. Tom? It's you! His adorable face melted her on the spot. Aw, it's you, the pepper spray lady. Simon chimed in with a chuckle, finally recognizing her as well. Had she really come off that intense that day? She couldn't explain it herself. Seeing Tom in danger had sparked an overwhelming instinct to protect. Tom clearly remembered her fondly and chatted with her in his soft, childish voice. Simon turned and saw the two of them immersed in conversation. That simple sight, his son laughing and talking with a stranger, filled him with a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. It reminded him of the days when he still had a family. That previous misunderstanding, the woman had stepped in only to protect Tom. While reflecting, Simon picked up the figurine. Here, take it, he offered. Monica, still using her English name, Ryan, among acquaintances, was startled. She knew just how rare and coveted that edition was in the collector's world. She quickly reached for her phone. This is too valuable. Let me pay you for it. Simon snatched the QR code placard off the table and tucked it away. It's nothing. A thank you for last time, he said calmly. Tom cheerfully handed her the figurine. It's yours. Pretty lady. I really can't. This is too much, Monica protested, still trying to offer payment. Simon simply shook his head. I said it's a gift, so take it. Soon, more customers began crowding the booth. Monica realized it wasn't the right moment to keep arguing, so she smiled at Tom and took her leave. As midnight approached and the ghost market began to close up, Simon noticed something odd. Monica was still there, waiting quietly at a distance. "If you won't take my money for the figurine," she said, "then let me treat you and Tom to dinner." This time, Simon didn't refuse. The three of them walked to a small restaurant that was still open late. Tom, exhausted, quickly fell asleep once they sat down. Simon laid him gently across a bench. Monica watched the little boy curl up like a kitten, her heart melting at the sight. Late at night, the city was quiet, and the two adults sat across from each other in soft conversation, waiting for their food, an unlikely warmth blooming between them. Chapter 5. At the ghost market. Most vendors were part-timers, so Monica casually asked what Simon did full-time. "I used to work at a big tech company," he said. "Just a regular developer, 996 work culture. Grinding away, steadily poor," he added with a half-smile. His gaze drifted, as if recalling something long buried. "I got too old to be useful. After my contract ended, they didn't renew it. Every resume I sent just vanished into the void. My ex-wife thought I had no future, so she left." Simon let out a sigh and continued, "I'm not very capable. That's the truth. These days, I survive on freelance gigs and tech review content for social media. No stable income to speak of, but Tom's about to start school. There's more and more we'll need money for." His eyes fell on the figurine Monica held beside her. "I've never had many hobbies," he said, "but I've always loved collecting figurines. My ex-wife used to fight with me about it all the time. She said wasting money on grown-up toys was proof I'd never amount to anything. These pieces were everything I'd saved up over the years. But in the end, I had to sell them to make ends meet." Despite the occasional sigh, Simon spoke of his past with an oddly light tone. Then he grinned. "You know," he said, "I put a lot of effort into my collection, dug up some rare editions. Even selling them now actually made me a bit of money. So, you never know. Life spins you around. And the next turn might bring a surprise." Divorced, unemployed, a single dad. By all counts, his life was at a low point. But Monica didn't see defeat in him, only a kind of easygoing resilience. Her impression of him deepened. To give up something he loved so dearly for his child, wasn't that a form of selfless love? Simon gently stroked Tom's hair. For a moment, Monica thought he was glowing. Something unexplainable stirred in her heart. Back home, his shadow still lingered in her mind. She couldn't help but wonder, what kind of man is Simon, really? Chapter 6. Confined at home. Monica had locked herself in her room in silent protest. But as the smear campaign against her escalated, her father's stance only hardened. He would not budge this time. Soon enough, the marriage alliance between the Sue and Han families was finalized. Monica and Oliver's engagement was officially announced. Oliver, true to his word, stepped forward as Monica's public defender. He not only liked and commented on the announcement but also posted a long statement on social media, personally clarifying and dispelling the rumors that had plagued Monica in recent weeks. Public opinion shifted in an instant. The narrative changed almost overnight, from wealthy heiress homewrecker to fairy tale romance. People began shipping Monica and Oliver as a glamorous couple. They were a perfect match, elite, attractive, powerful. Many netizens voiced envy, praising them as a golden pair. Some even wrote, "Their love made me believe in love again." Oliver had won this battle, utterly and completely. That evening, when Oliver returned home, his father summoned him into the study. "You've done well, Mr. Han said with a satisfied smile. "I didn't expect you to pull this off, but you did. Sue family is in our hands now." He clipped open a cigar and passed it to Oliver. Oliver accepted it, but didn't light it right away. "Dad, I know this was a strategic marriage, but I see Monica as my wife, not a pawn. I'd like you to reconsider the idea of going after the Sue family's assets. If she finds out and turns against me, it could cost more than it's worth." Mr. Han blew a cloud of smoke, his eyes narrowing. "Oliver, how many times have I told you, don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Sue's fortune only survived because of dumb luck. In business, Sue is too soft, lacks the ruthlessness to win, and now you want his daughter to inherit that empire? She'll hand it over on a silver platter." He stepped closer, clapped Oliver's shoulder with a heavy hand. Better us than someone else. If the vultures are going to feed, let it be our family at the top of the chain. Then, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, besides, this isn't plundering. You're marrying Monica. That makes her family. Her wealth is your wealth. You're protecting what's hers. She should be thanking you. Oliver said nothing, but slowly placed the cigar between his lips and took a long drag. The next day, Oliver's car pulled into a discreet private club on the outskirts of the city. The staff, clearly familiar with him, led him straight to his usual private suite. Inside, a woman was already seated. When Oliver entered, she looked up, red lips curling into a sly smile. "Mr. Hahn, you're late." Oliver didn't answer, he simply sat across from her with a thud. The woman finally raised her head. It was Sophia. Chapter 7. Sophia looked at Oliver. Getting married really does change a man, once you've got your beauty in your arms. "Mr. Hahn, I suppose you'll forget someone like me ever existed." Oliver wasn't amused. "What's that supposed to mean? President in? I thought we were teammates in the same trench." Sophia laughed. All traces of the tragic livestream version of her completely gone. "Sure, but just don't burn the bridge after crossing it. Mr. Hahn, even though your engagement to Monica is set in stone, my objective hasn't been achieved yet." So it turned out everything that had happened before was a scheme orchestrated by Oliver and Sophia. They had teamed up to manipulate the media and smear Monica, all in order to drive a wedge between her and Simon. It all started when Oliver approached Sophia. He had already done his homework. Simon's past was far from squeaky clean. He once had a wife he loved deeply, and that woman was Sophia. But Sophia had looked down on Simon for being unsuccessful. She divorced him early on and even abandoned their son. Later, Sophia heard Simon mention that live streaming might become a big thing. She borrowed money to start an MCN company. She happened to catch the rising wave of social media and rode it to major success. To keep her company's early mover advantage, Sophia worked herself to the bone, barely eating or sleeping, though her business success brought her into high society. She felt the whole scene was fake. Everyone was guarded, calculating. Every time she returned to her empty apartment, she couldn't help but think of her ex-husband and son. She longed for the safe harbor she once had, even though she knew Simon was already with Monica. Sophia believed, since she was Tom's biological mother, that Simon would come back to her for the sake of their child. After all, Simon had once loved her with everything he had. Just to buy her a luxury handbag, Simon had secretly taken on freelance jobs, staying up all night coding. Sophia couldn't wrap her head around it. How could a man like that reject her now? But Simon had changed. He refused to break up with Monica or remarry Sophia. Even Tom, from time to time, made it clear he didn't really need his mother. Sophia once saw Simon and Monica dining with Tom at the mall. The three of them were chatting and laughing like a real family. That scene cut deep into Sophia's heart. Right then, Oliver approached her. He made no effort to hide his intentions. He liked Monica. But unfortunately, Monica had fallen for someone like Simon. The two of them hit it off immediately. The logic was simple. If they could break up Simon and Monica, both would get what they wanted. And so began the string of dirty tricks. Sophia used Tom to guilt-trip Simon and pressure him morally. At the same time, she weaponized her MCN's media influence to ruthlessly smear Monica's image online. Even Simon's prolonged silence while Monica was wrongly accused was Sophia's doing. Oliver, meanwhile, swooped in like a so-called savior. But in reality, he was just using the chaos to pressure the Sue family. Eventually, Monica's father had no choice but to agree to a political marriage with the Hahn family. That series of moves landed Oliver the engagement he wanted with Monica. The only problem was Sophia still hadn't managed to win Simon back. That's why she urgently arranged to meet Oliver. "How could I possibly forget your situation, President in?" Oliver knew Sophia was far from the fragile image she sometimes projected. "As long as you remember," Sophia said with a smile. "Otherwise, who knows, maybe my media outlets will soon accidentally stumble upon something explosive." "What's that supposed to mean?" Oliver narrowed his eyes. "Don't think I don't know," Sophia said bluntly. "You've schemed your way into marrying Monica, not out of love, but because you're after the Sue family fortune." Oliver's face twitched. "But don't worry, Mr. Hahn. For now, at least, we're still on the same side." The tea was no longer worth drinking. Oliver stood up to leave. Just then, a child's voice rang out from the corner, "Mom." "Tom, you brought him here?" Oliver frowned. Sophia scooped her son up and smiled. "He's my trump card to win Simon back. If I don't hold on tight to him, he's going to start calling someone else mom." Neither of them noticed. The little smartwatch on Tom's wrist was flashing silently. He'd gotten bored and called his dad. Chapter 8. The wedding day was drawing closer. Monica seemed to have given up resisting. She stopped making a fuss and quietly stayed home, waiting to be married. The night before the wedding, Monica suddenly went to the guest room to find her father's assistant, Hudson. For years, Hudson had been in love with Mr. Sue. Even without an official title, she had stayed loyally by his side. Seeing Monica, Hudson was startled. Her position in the family had always been awkward. She and the young heiress had never been particularly close. "Is there something you need from me?" Hudson broke the silence first. Monica nodded. "I came to tell you that I've already spoken to my father. I told him I agree with your marriage." Hudson was stunned. Mr. Sue had long carried guilt toward his first wife, and out of concern for Monica's feelings, had never given Hudson a proper place in the family. Hudson had already given up the dream of marriage in this lifetime. She had accepted that she would remain by his side as his assistant for life. She had always assumed the one person who would never accept her was Monica. But now Monica was telling her she approved of her becoming her stepmother? Sensing Hudson's shock, Monica spoke gently. "In the blink of an eye, I'm about to get married myself. I'll be leaving this house soon. My father's getting older. He stayed single all these years because of me, and I've always worried about him. But fortunately, you've always been there for him. Hudson, I know you're a good person, and that you genuinely love my father. I give you my blessing, and I hope that after I leave this home, you'll continue to take care of him in my place." They were about the same age, more like sisters than anything else. And in a single night, their relationship transformed. In a long, heartfelt conversation that lasted till dawn, Monica opened up completely. She told Hudson that it was because she too had once loved someone deeply. Someone she had stayed loyal to. Someone she had given things up for. That's why she finally understood how difficult Hudson's journey had been. If she kept opposing her father's marriage to Hudson, she would feel cruel and heartless. Hudson could tell Monica just needed someone to talk to. "The man you loved, is it that same guy the internet says you were the homewrecker for? I'm honestly curious, what kind of man must he be to win over the heart of our proud Miss Sue?" Monica smiled and finally opened the floodgates, telling the story of her relationship with Simon. After their chance meeting at the ghost market, she couldn't get Simon out of her head. She thought of Tom's sweetness and Simon's hardships, and her heart was in turmoil. It just so happened that her best friend Robin's husband had started a tech company. Monica seized the opportunity and had her friend hire Simon. She still remembered the way Robin had looked at her that day. "You mean to tell me, even if you have to pay his salary out of your own pocket, you still want me to hire this Simon?" "Yes, but under one condition. You have to hire me too. I don't care what I do, I'll sweep floors, take out the trash, whatever you need." Robin went from surprised to downright shocked. "Oh my God, are you serious? My little company can't handle a big shot like you. The Sue family princess is really something. You're paying for the guy, and now you're selling yourself too?" Robin kept teasing and scolding Monica for quite a while, but Robin of it stopped her. On the very same day Simon joined the company, Monica also officially started working there. Chapter 9. Ever since Monica joined the company, people started to notice that the boss had suddenly become more human. She brought coffee for everyone in the mornings, and even paid out of pocket for afternoon tea. One morning, Monica walked over to Simon's desk with 2 cups of coffee. "Latte or Americano?" Simon looked up at her, hesitating. "Americano, I guess." He found it suspicious. What were the odds of running into Monica at this company? And on his very first day too? "Aw, so you like it bitter," Monica said with a sweet smile, handing him the cup. Their fingers brushed briefly, and both of them trembled slightly. Later that day in the cafeteria, Monica poked her head around, searching until she spotted Simon sitting alone in a corner. "Mind if I join you?" Simon looked around at the many empty seats still available. After a moment's hesitation, He nodded. She naturally gravitated towards Simon. And before long, she was helping herself to food from his plate. "Let me try the sweet and sour pork from the cafeteria," she said casually. Simon didn't say much, but his heart felt like a pot of boiling water, bubbling over and chaotic. Over the following days, Monica seized every possible opportunity to be near Simon, and if no opportunity presented itself, she made one. But Simon was like a block of stone, completely unresponsive. One evening, Monica was dragged into a business dinner by the sales team. Normally, she wouldn't have to attend such events, but the client had specifically requested her presence, and the sales team didn't want to offend a major account just for her. After all, very few people in the company knew her true identity. During the dinner, Mr. Lin, the client, kept raising his glass to Monica, and the look in his eyes was brazen and lewd. Monica's head quickly began to spin from the alcohol. Using the last bit of her clarity, she sent a message to Simon asking for help, including her location. "Your company is full of surprises. Who would have thought a tiny tech firm like this one could have someone as stunning as Miss Sue?" Mr. Lin's rough hand began to touch Monica's face and features with disturbing familiarity, making her feel sick. The sales rep egged him on. "Monica, Mr. Lin is one of our biggest clients. He brings in tens of millions in business every year. For the company's sake, you should make him happy tonight." Mr. Lin let out a disgusting laugh, and his hands became more aggressive. "Let me go. Let me leave," Monica cried, struggling. But there was no way out. She was quickly yanked back and pushed down onto the sofa in the private room. The others seized the chance to slip away, leaving only Monica and Mr. Lin behind. Terrified, Monica could only watch as his greasy face got closer and closer. Suddenly, the door was kicked open. Simon burst in. When he saw Monica with tears streaming down her face, a surge of fury rushed straight to his head. Without a word, he threw a punch that knocked Mr. Lin, fat and flailing, flat to the ground. In front of Simon, Mr. Lin had no chance of fighting back. After a brutal beatdown, Simon placed one foot on Mr. Lin's right hand, his eyes cold and ruthless. "So this hand, this disgusting hand was the one you used to touch her?" Mr. Lin was so terrified he nearly fainted. Simon didn't waste words. He crouched down and snapped one of Mr. Lin's fingers cleanly in half. Mr. Lin screamed like a butchered pig. "Let this be a lesson. Next time, think twice before laying a finger on her." Simon scooped Monica up in his arms and carried her out of the restaurant. He took the still shaken Monica home. Since she was clearly drunk, he stayed to talk and help her sober up. "I've never seen you like that before," Monica said, wide-eyed. Simon gave an awkward smile. "It's been years since I was like that. Back in the day, I was kind of a delinquent. Fights were a regular thing. I cleaned up my act for Sophia, wanted to be a good man to marry her." He went on to share stories from the era when young and dangerous gang films were all the rage, and all the foolish things he'd done in those days. It was the first time Monica realized Simon had once been a hot-blooded rebel. "After we got married, Sophia got pregnant quickly. I started working to support the family, but life after marriage was far from romantic. Once the baby came, it was all daily chores and constant stress. Sophia couldn't take it. She felt marriage and motherhood were shackles. Then I lost my job, and I couldn't find another. Hit wall after wall. That just made it worse for her. She said I couldn't give her the life she wanted." Monica listened closely, deep in thought. The next day, as soon as she got back to work, she heard that someone had called Simon out of the office. A little digging revealed it was Mr. Lin from the night before, showing up with backup, clearly out for revenge. Unbelievable. The audacity of the guilty party playing the victim. Monica immediately called her father. "Dad, I was almost assaulted last night. You have to do something." Mr. Sue was famously protective of his daughter. That same day, news broke that Mr. Lin's company was involved in financial fraud. Creditors and shareholders rushed in a frenzy. The company went bankrupt on the spot. Monica was stunned by her father's efficiency, but at the same time, she was deeply worried about Simon. The next day, Simon still hadn't shown up. The company said he had taken time off, but no one knew where he'd gone. Monica texted him, but he never replied. Chapter 10. By noon, Monica couldn't stop worrying. She skipped lunch and rushed straight to Simon's home. To her surprise, the door wasn't even locked. Cautiously stepping inside, she was stunned to see Simon collapse beside Tom's bed. Tom lay on the bed with a fever patch on his forehead, seemingly asleep. "Simon, are you okay?" Monica hurried to lift him onto the sofa and helped him lie down, then gave him some water. Just as she was about to call for an ambulance, Simon murmured, "Sugar." Monica quickly pulled some chocolate from her bag and placed it in his mouth. Within moments, Simon came to completely. "Sorry for making you come all this way. Tom had a high fever from pneumonia last night. I stayed with him all night at the hospital. The fever still hadn't gone down after we got home today." Seeing how weak and pale he looked, Monica felt a sharp pang of heartache. "Don't tell me you haven't eaten anything since last night?" Simon nodded. The fainting spell was likely due to low blood sugar. "No matter how urgent things are, you can't neglect yourself. Tom's still little and needs you for everything. If you collapse, what happens to him?" Monica's words filled Simon's heart with warmth. "Let me cook something for you. Honestly, you're hopeless sometimes." With that, Monica rolled up her sleeves and headed into the kitchen. Simon watched her back, a relaxed smile spreading across his face. But that smile quickly froze. A moment later, a series of chaotic clattering sounds came from the kitchen. No matter how he listened, it didn't sound like someone who knew their way around a stove. Worried, Simon got up and made his way to the kitchen and burst out laughing. The confident Monica from just minutes ago was gone. She was crouched on the floor, awkwardly cleaning up broken dishes. The cutting board was covered in vegetables chopped into every imaginable shape. The pot was completely empty, yet already burned on the bottom. "I thought you knew how to cook." Looking at the scene in front of him, Simon couldn't help but think of his ex-wife. When he had just married Sophia, she too had been clumsy and helpless in the kitchen. "Let me teach you," he said. "Honestly, you're hopeless," he added, returning Monica's own words to her with a smirk. With Simon's guidance, Monica's first cooking attempt at least didn't end in disaster. The two of them sat across from each other and finished the meal together, the atmosphere warm and cozy. That afternoon, Monica returned to work still basking in the sweetness of the moment. She couldn't focus at all, just kept texting Simon nonstop. First she asked if he was feeling better, if he was still dizzy. Then she checked whether Tom's fever had gone down. Finally, after surviving the workday, Monica dashed straight back to Simon's place. By then, Tom's fever had broken, and he was much more energetic. He was tugging on Simon's sleeve, saying he was hungry. "Dad, I want clay pot rice." When he saw Monica, he lit up and called out excitedly, "Pretty lady, come eat with us. My dad's buying." Monica was more than happy to join, and so, the three of them went out to a restaurant together. Tom skipped along happily, holding Simon's hand in one and Monica's in the other. The three of them looked just like a family. Tom's joy was written all over his face. With Monica there, it was as if he no longer felt like a motherless child. Chapter 11. Monica's story left Hudson a bit emotional. "So, did you two ever finally say how you really felt?" Blushing, Monica continued her story. Ever since that night, her relationship with Simon had noticeably grown closer. She could clearly feel that Simon had begun to lower his guard around her. Monica continued to visit Simon's home regularly to help care for him and Tom. Each time, she'd bring Tom a little gift. But no matter how proactive Monica was, Simon never made a move. The two of them stood on opposite sides of a paper-thin wall of feelings, desperately testing the waters, yet neither daring to break through. Worse, the more frequently Monica came over, the more Simon began dropping subtle hints. He'd say things like, "A single young lady spending so much time with a single dad like me, it's not great for your reputation." Or he'd bring up company policy. "You know we're technically not allowed to date coworkers. Someone could see us and stir up trouble." Monica understood perfectly what he meant. Simon saw her as a privileged heiress, young, unmarried, with her whole life ahead of her, while he was just a divorced, middle-aged man with a shaky job and a long history of being told he was a failure by his ex. That deeply ingrained sense of unworthiness kept Simon from facing their feelings. But Monica was almost certain now Simon liked her. It was because he liked her that he cared so much. So she kept visiting anyway, unapologetically, wholeheartedly. That evening after dinner, Monica was clearing the table when Simon suddenly got a phone call. He didn't excuse himself, but instead took the call right in front of her. Monica could tell from the conversation it was his mother. She overheard bits and pieces. "Did you look at the photo I sent? She's got great qualities and seems interested in you. She wants to meet this weekend." Simon cast a quick glance at Monica, then responded, "All right, I'll reach out to her directly." His mother gave a few more instructions, then hung up. Monica leaned on the table with both hands, staring straight at Simon, waiting for an explanation. "So, a blind date?" Simon looked awkward and rubbed his nose. "Yeah, a family arrangement. She's divorced too. But no kids. It's rare to find someone who doesn't mind that I'm divorced and have a son." Monica kept smiling, but Simon suddenly felt a chill down his spine. "So you're really going to meet her?" Simon paused a moment, then nodded. Monica's smile vanished. She slammed the dish towel on the table. "Why?" "Simon, if you just look me in the eye and say that you've never been interested in me, I'll walk away right now and never bother you again. But can you say that? Can you?" Simon stayed silent. He didn't dare look at her. Monica grew even angrier. "Then why can't you be braver? Why won't you just take one more step forward?" With that, Monica stormed out the door, but halfway down the hall, she remembered all the good in Simon. These past weeks with Simon and Tom had truly made her happy. She couldn't let go just yet. Gritting her teeth, she turned back. Just as she reached the door, she heard voices from inside, the father and son talking. Tom's voice was loud and clear. "I don't want a new mom. I want the pretty lady to be my mom. Daddy, she's so nice. Why don't you marry her and make her my mom?" Then Simon's voice came through. "Tom, listen to Daddy. That pretty lady is too good. She's like the moon in the sky. All I can do is stand on the ground and admire her from afar." He let out a sigh. When you really love someone, the last thing you should do is tie them down. Because love isn't selfish, it's letting them be free. Inside, no one knew what expression Simon had on his face. But outside the door, Monica was already sobbing silently. She slid down against the wall, tears streaming down her cheeks. In that moment, her eyes grew even more determined. Even without a title, even without a place by his side, she was still willing to be with Simon. Chapter 12. The memory faded, and Hudson looked at Monica, tears still streaking her cheeks. "Well," Hudson said with a gentle smile, handing her a tissue. "Looks like your fear of marriage is officially cured. That's a miracle in itself. I studied psychology," she continued, "and from what I know of your background, your case makes sense. It was your father's betrayal and your mother's subsequent suicide that left such a huge emotional scar. Your fear of marriage, it's a form of self-protection. To be healed from that, it's no small thing." Monica wiped her eyes and smiled faintly. "He really is a wonderful man. He makes me feel safe. It's the way he treats love and marriage, always thinking of the other person first. It gave me confidence in him and in the idea of love." Hudson nodded thoughtfully, then asked, "But if things reached a bottleneck between you two, what happened afterward that finally brought your feelings out in the open?" Monica gave her a sly grin. "To solve a problem, you go for the key. Tom liked me. I liked him too, so I started with him. Can't let the kid down, can I?" From that day on, Monica practically moved into Simon's home. Though Simon made it clear he was uncomfortable, Monica pretended not to understand, brushing off every protest and showing up anyway. She did chores, she played with Tom, and the more time passed, the closer she and Tom became. Eventually, she'd even help by picking Tom up from kindergarten whenever Simon had to work late. Over time, the teachers and even the parents of other students had come to assume Monica was Tom's mom. Tom, of course, was thrilled. One day, when Monica picked him up from school, Tom looked downcast. "Tom, what's wrong? You look upset." He sighed like a tiny old man. "I'm okay, pretty lady. It's all right, Tom," Monica said, crouching to his level. "You can tell me anything." Faced with her sincere eyes, Tom burst into tears. Apparently, another kid at school had bullied him. When the teacher contacted the other child's parents, they not only refused to make the child apologize but sneered that Tom didn't even have a mom. That was Tom's deepest wound, his weakest spot. Monica was furious. She took Tom back into the school and demanded the teacher summon the other child's parents. It was the first time Tom had ever seen Monica angry. But to him, the way she fiercely stood her ground, like a mother hen protecting her chick, was awe-inspiring. He forgot to cry, his little mouth forming a perfect O in amazement. When they left the school again, Tom was back to smiling. "If anything happens, Tom," Monica said, "just come to me. I'll fight for you." Tom giggled. "You were awesome today. Let's go get McDonald's to celebrate." Monica tweaked his nose. "I'm the awesome one, and we're eating McDonald's?" They bought burgers and wings, and Tom grinned with a face full of sauce. "Pretty lady, can you be my mom?" Monica choked on her burger and laughed. "Tom, you're so direct, but I like that about you." She gently stroked his hair. "To be honest, I'd really like to be your mom, so we're on the same page, but your dad still needs to agree. I've only been over a few times, and he's already grumbling. If I push any more, won't I look desperate?" Tom's eyes sparkled mischievously. "Leave it to me." Chapter 13. That night, Monica brought Tom home. Simon didn't return until late. As usual, Monica quietly left when he got home. Simon barely acknowledged her, cold, distant, not even offering to walk her out. But Tom remembered what Monica had said earlier. He pulled his dad aside. "Dad, why didn't you ask her to stay? Do you know how amazing she was today? Defending me? I want her. Bring her back." "Tom, don't be stubborn," Simon sighed. His own heart was in turmoil. He liked Monica, but he couldn't face his feelings. "I don't care. I want her back." "Tom, that's enough." Simon was exhausted from work and emotionally worn out. Tom's rare insistence pushed him over the edge. "You're being unreasonable. I didn't raise you to act like this." Tom's face crumpled. He started crying again. "I hate you. I'm going to find her myself." Losing his temper, Simon locked Tom in his room. "Cool off first. Come out when you've calmed down." Suddenly, the house fell quiet. Simon sat on the sofa, hands gripping his head, sulking in silence. After a while, something felt off. He got up to check on Tom, only to find the door open. Tom was gone. "Tom?" Simon shouted. But no answer came. He panicked. Tom had said he hated him and wanted to find Monica. Simon grabbed his phone and frantically called her. After he explained what had happened, Monica was shocked. She rushed over at once. "What were you thinking? You had a rough day at work, and now you're taking it out on your kid? Now he's missing. What are you going to do?" Monica was livid. Simon had many strengths, but his indecisiveness drove her mad. Dragging him by the arm, she said, "Come on, let's check his usual spots. I know somewhere he might be," Monica suddenly said, and her eyes lit up. She took Simon to a small park nearby. It was a place she and Tom often visited. Sure enough, from a distance, they saw a tiny figure sitting on the swing. "Tom!" Monica ran over, scooping him into her arms. "You came." Thank God. He was safe. Back home. Tom refused to let go of Monica's hand. "Don't go." Staring into those hopeful eyes, Monica couldn't bring herself to say no. "All right. I won't leave, but it's time to sleep, okay?" Tom lay in bed, holding on to both his dad and Monica. "Pretty lady," he mumbled sleepily. "Dad's so weird. He told me he likes you, but he won't say it to your face. I like this girl in kindergarten, and I told her, and we even kissed. Grown-ups are worse than kids." Monica and Simon exchanged glances, both a bit red in the face. Tom drifted off, still clutching their hands. With no other choice, they lay on either side of him, staring at the ceiling. Simon suddenly spoke. "What Tom said, it's true. HM?" Monica turned her head. Simon looked over and met her eyes. "I do like you." Chapter 14. After hearing Monica's story, Hudson's face lit up with curiosity. "Don't tell me." She leaned in dramatically. "That night, dark and stormy, you two sealed the deal with your kid lying right beside you?" Monica flushed bright red and said nothing. Hudson rolled her eyes and tapped Monica's forehead. "You little brat. I never realized you were this much of a lovesick fool. This isn't just love struck, this is a full-blown maternal instinct overload. Simon's a nobody, just a broke, average Joe, compared to Oliver? Please, the man's a legit diamond bachelor. Monica scoffed, not bothering to hide her disdain. I don't know what Oliver's like, but I know Simon is kind. You can tell just by how patient and gentle he is with Tom. And he takes care of me too. Her cheeks turned red again as she said it. Hudson raised a brow. Well then, if he's so great, why didn't you fight back harder? Why agree to marry Oliver? I know your dad. He might act tough. But when it comes to you, he always caves. If you just pushed harder, even a little, he would have folded. Hudson had never understood Monica's surrender. Until now, Monica's gaze dimmed, because his ex-wife came back and asked to reconcile. Sophia's business is doing well, but she's empty inside, and now she remembers all the good things about Simon, back when they were married. He may not have made her life lavish and extravagant, but he never let her suffer. He even fed their baby formula during her postpartum confinement. Monica's voice grew sharp. She leaves when she wants and thinks everyone should wait around for her. She told Simon that Tom needs his mother, that a child longing for a mom should naturally be reunited with his biological one. And to be fair, she was Tom's mother. So Simon hesitated. Monica thought back to that day, bitterness still in her chest. She dropped to her knees in front of Simon right in front of me. Total performance art. She said she never got over him or Tom. She even crawled to my feet, just like she did in that live stream video, begging me to let go. Said Simon and I were never meant to be, that we'd never be happy. Later, Sophia's mask dropped. She came to the office and asked Monica to meet her privately. Gone was the fragile victim, what showed up was sheer arrogance. I suggest you leave Simon voluntarily. She said, I'm Tom's real mother and Simon's first love. No matter what you do, you'll never take my place. You left them. Monica shot back. They deserve happiness too. You don't get to waltz back in and take it away. Sophia clenched her jaw. Fine, but don't blame me when I tear your pretty mask to shreds. Chapter 15. After meeting with Sophia, Monica found Simon. She needed clarity. I won't get back together with her. Simon said flatly. There's no love between us anymore. Forcing a relationship just for Tom's sake, that's not what's best for him either. Monica was impressed by how clear-headed he was. She finally let go of her doubts and took his hand. In that case, let's get married. I promise I'll love Tom like my own. You two already mean everything to me. She fully expected him to say yes. But instead, Simon refused. No. Monica stared at him in disbelief. Why not? She had fought so hard to get him to take a chance on them. Why was he backing out now? Simon didn't look away this time. Oliver came to see me. He told me you're engaged and that he genuinely loves you. He's a better match. He can give you everything I can't. He stopped her from interrupting. He's right, Monica. Love alone isn't enough. That's the reality. And someday, you'll get tired of the struggle, just like Sophia did. You'll leave. Monica's eyes brimmed with tears. After all this time, he still didn't trust her? I know your father won't approve either. I'm a man with baggage. I get it. If I were in his shoes, I'd want what's best for my daughter too. He wants you to choose Oliver. I can't blame him. And a marriage without his blessing, it won't last. I can't take that risk. Monica's heart shattered all over again. When things get hard, why do you always choose to walk away? Why can't you fight with me, just once? She turned and stormed off. Soon after, Sophia launched a fresh wave of online slander against Monica. The brutal backlash only made Monica's father more convinced she needed to marry Oliver. She confronted Oliver in a fury. Who do you think you are? You have no right to interfere with my life. It's just a stupid engagement. I can say no. Oliver remained calm. I wasn't meddling. Your father asked me to speak with him. And honestly, I didn't say much, just helped him see the truth. Oliver's indifference only made Monica angrier, like throwing punches into a pillow. She stormed home and charged into her father's study. I don't care who Oliver is. I won't marry him. I'm an adult. I have the right to choose who I marry. Even you, as my father, can't make that decision for me. Sue's face hardened. You foolish girl. You don't understand. If you marry someone like Simon, you'll suffer. This is about your entire future. And this time, I won't give in. Not long after, the engagement with Oliver was made public. Since her mother's death, Monica's father had never opposed her wishes so strongly. But this time, he was unshakable. Desperate, Monica reached out to Simon, only to discover she had been blocked. Chapter 16. Monica's heart dropped with a thud. She rushed out the door and straight to Simon's apartment. When she arrived, she saw him packing suitcases. "What are you doing?" she asked, stunned. "Isn't it obvious? Tom and I are leaving." Monica grabbed his wrist. "Don't go. We should face this together." But Simon gently pried her hand away. "Miss Sue," he said formally, "you're an engaged woman now. Please, have some self-respect." Monica froze in place. "Self-respect? You're asking me to have self-respect? Simon, what kind of person are you? I've been cyberbullied, forced by my family to marry someone I don't love. When I needed you most, where were you? Why is it that every time I gather the courage to move forward, you throw cold water on me?" This time, Simon didn't hold back. "Because I'm remarrying. When you were being attacked online, I was being morally cornered from all sides. Everyone told me to forgive Sophia. After all, kids deserve a complete family, don't they? Monica, you're not the only one who's struggled or sacrificed. As a father, I have a duty to give Tom the best environment to grow up in." Monica stared at him in shock, unable to believe what she was hearing. "From the very beginning, I knew it wouldn't be easy. I was even willing to be with you with no title, just so we could be together. I wanted to give Tom a real home too. When Sophia reappeared, you swore you wouldn't take her back. I believed you. You were the reason I stopped fearing marriage. But now, Simon, why didn't you keep your promise?" Her gaze turned distant and cold. "I'm disappointed in you, Simon, truly." Monica turned and left, her silhouette full of sorrow and resolve. Simon remained frozen in place. A single tear slipped down his cheek. From that day on, Monica focused on preparing for her wedding. If love was gone, marriage was just a formality. It didn't matter who the groom was. She threw herself into selecting wedding items, hoping to numb herself. The night before the ceremony, she was suddenly reminded. Once she married, her father would be alone in the Sue household. Worried, she went to Hudson. She had once scoffed at Hudson, but now, she understood why she stayed with her father all those years. Nameless and titleless. So Monica told Hudson she would no longer oppose their marriage. If she couldn't have love, she would at least not stand in the way of those who could. In this world, there were far too few people truly in love. Hudson listened quietly, then sighed deeply. From a rational standpoint, she said, "I think both you and Simon made the right choice." The two women talked all night. When they looked outside, it was already dawn. Monica smiled gently. "In that case, I'll trouble you with one last thing. Walk me down the aisle today." Chapter 17. That same day, Simon met Sophia at the civil office to finalize their remarriage. Though present in body, his mind was elsewhere. He was watching old videos on his phone, clips of outings with Monica and Tom. The warmth of those moments felt like knives in his chest now. Sophia approached and sneered. "She's getting married today. And you're about to remarry me. Isn't it time to delete those videos? Delete them now." She had always spoken to Simon this way, commanding, impatient, and in the past, he always obeyed. But this time, she was disappointed. Simon didn't respond. He simply turned off his phone. Their number was called over the loudspeaker. Simon patted Tom's shoulder and smiled at him. But just as he turned to walk forward, Tom tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, I don't want mommy back. I like the pretty lady. I want her to be my mommy." "Daddy, you love her too, don't you?" The words stunned both Simon and Sophia. "Tom, what are you saying?" Sophia gasped. She had plotted so carefully, never expecting to be undone by her own son. She knelt down in front of him. "Mommy was wrong before. I never should have left you and Daddy. But you're my baby. I love you. Please forgive me, okay?" She reached out to hug him, but Tom flinched and hid behind Simon. "No, I want the pretty lady. In that moment, Sophia saw clearly. Her years of absence had severed the bond between mother and son. Watching Tom sob and Sophia collapse in tears, Simon suddenly made up his mind. Sophia, leave. I'm not remarrying you. I don't love you anymore. The person I love is Monica. All these years, I've lived under your shadow. I've been a coward. Yes, but I'm not worthless. I just wasn't selfish enough. I always put others first. But not anymore. This time, I choose me. Sophia stared at him, stunned. This man was no longer the broken, timid shell she once knew. He was transformed into the fire-hearted rebel she once fell for. Now tempered with maturity, she knew then that she had lost him and Tom for good. I guess, all that's left to say is congratulations. Thank you. I wish you well too. Simon felt lighter than he had in years. The weight of moral debt had finally lifted. He turned to Tom, eyes shining. Come on, son, let's go find the pretty lady. Tom beamed, and the two of them raced toward the Sioux house. It was Monica's wedding day. They hurried breathlessly, reaching the Sioux estate, but the mansion was eerily quiet. Simon banged on the gate for ages before a housekeeper finally answered. Our young miss has already left for the wedding. Simon stood there, frozen. He could only turn away, dragging a stunned Tom behind him, utterly defeated. Chapter 18. Monica's wedding had just ended. Guests flooded her with blessings, praising her perfect match. The ceremony, clearly designed with care by Oliver, was lavish yet clever, grand yet playful. The entire hall buzzed with joy and cheer. But Monica, returning to her bridal suite alone, felt nothing but immense loneliness. All the laughter belonged to others. She had nothing. Bored and emotionally exhausted, she pulled out her phone and began scrolling through memories, photos and videos of her time with Simon and Tom. As she watched, her longing for them grew overwhelming. Then, unexpectedly, she discovered a video she had never seen before. She tapped it open. It was a recording Simon had made in secret, without her knowing. In the video, Simon reflected on their breakup. He expressed hope that she would find true happiness after leaving him. But then his tone changed. He warned her, telling her to be wary of him, because, as fate would have it, he had accidentally discovered something, thanks to Tom's smartwatch. The watch had recorded a conversation between Oliver and Sophia. In it, they clearly conspired. The marriage to Monica was a facade. Oliver's true goal was the Sioux family fortune. At the end of the video, Tom's chubby little face popped into the frame. Daddy, what are you doing? Simon smiled. I'm making a video for the pretty lady. Tom grinned and waved at the camera. Mommy! Pretty lady, be my mommy, please? I really like you. I wish we could all live together forever. By the time the video ended, Monica was sobbing uncontrollably. She couldn't contain the longing in her heart any longer. She wiped her tears, stood up, and marched straight back to the reception hall. Oliver noticed her odd expression. Moni, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Monica looked at him coldly. Why did you marry me, Oliver? Because I love you. Of course. Love me? Her voice turned icy. Or love my family's wealth? She turned to the guests and the Sioux family members who were still present. Without hesitation, she played the damning recording from Tom's smartwatch. The hall erupted into gasps and murmurs. Oliver stood frozen. Monica's voice rang out, sharp and clear. How foolish I was to fall for your lies. Turns out all my pain, all the scandal, was nothing but a trap laid by you and Sophia. You're a snake in a suit. Well, I'm done. This wedding never happened. You'll never touch the Sioux fortune. Still in her wedding gown, Monica turned and stormed out of her own reception. She followed the pull of her heart, heading straight to Simon's place. She was going to tell him the truth, that no matter what, she couldn't live without him. But when she arrived at his apartment, she found it empty, gone. Her knees buckled. She collapsed at the doorway, completely shattered. Chapter 19. Simon, walking away from the Sioux estate with Tom, felt like the soul had been sucked from his body. He had mustered all his courage, finally choosing to fight for his love. And yet, he had arrived just moments too late. The woman he loved had married someone else. Dragging his feet, he returned home with Tom. But the moment they arrived, they were both stunned. "Pretty lady!" Tom cried. There she was, Monica, still in her wedding dress, sitting heartbroken at their door. Their eyes met, and then, both of them burst into soft, helpless laughter. "Tom, what do you want to eat?" Monica asked, still teary-eyed. "Barbecue." He beamed. Tom loves barbecue. The three of them, walking side by side, left shadows long and warm in the setting sun. That night, Monica stayed at Simon's apartment. Her phone was blowing up with calls. Her father, Hudson, even Oliver, all desperate to reach her. She was so annoyed. She simply powered the phone off. "Isn't that bad?" Simon asked gently. "I don't care," she replied. "It was never what I wanted anyway. No one's ruining tonight." She wrapped her arms tighter around Simon's neck. The next day, Monica dragged Simon back to the Sue estate. She was determined to make things right. When Sue's father heard that Simon was there, he smashed his favorite teacup in fury. "You still have the nerve to come back? You ran off like that yesterday, shameless. Do you realize how much damage you did to our name?" He glared at Simon with deep disgust. So this was the man who stole his daughter. "I'll never approve of this," he declared. "Dad," Monica said calmly, "it's a new era. I'm an adult. I can take responsibility for my own choices." Hudson, now newly acknowledged as Sue's father's partner, stepped forward to mediate. "She's right. We can't keep treating her like a child. Why not give Simon a chance?" But Sue's father remained stubborn. That is, until a small voice piped up beside them. "Grandpa, you're being unfair." Tom looked up at him seriously. "Daddy likes pretty lady. Pretty lady likes daddy. So why won't you let them be together? I like a girl at school named Xiaoduo. Her mommy lets me hold her hand." Sue's father stared blankly at the boy. He was speechless. The truth was, his heart had already softened. But Monica had worried him too many times over this man. He couldn't bring himself to say yes. "And yet, Grandpa," Tom added sweetly, "I said the right thing, didn't I?" His smile melted every barrier. Sue's father let out a long sigh. "Yes, child, you did." And just like that, under the blessing of both families, Monica and Simon were finally together. When they went to register their marriage, they brought Tom with them. Afterwards, the three of them celebrated with Tom's favorite meal, McDonald's. Because in the end, it was Tom who made everything possible. Chapter 20. Married life had settled into a peaceful routine. Though Monica came from a wealthy family, she was anything but spoiled. With Simon busy at work, she quit her job to take care of Tom. She even learned to cook to better care for the father and son. Everything seemed to be on track. The three of them were full of hope for their future together. But one day, Simon collapsed during overtime. His memory of that entire stretch vanished like smoke. Alarmed, he went to the hospital for a checkup. The diagnosis left him completely stunned. Alzheimer's disease. That terrifying name echoed endlessly in his mind. How could this be? Everything had just started to turn around. After all the hardships they had overcome, how could this happen now? He blamed himself. Blamed the years he'd spent pushing himself in a brutal tech job, exchanging health for money. Now he had neither. Just when happiness was within reach, he could no longer hold on to it. Outside the hospital, Simon crouched down and sobbed, clutching his head in despair. He kept it from Monica, but his condition only worsened. During a celebration for a completed project, Simon mentally blanked out again, and this time, he lost control of his bladder in front of everyone. By the time he came back to himself, it was too late. Colleagues had already distanced themselves, literally and emotionally. Some covered their noses. Others exchanged mocking glances. Humiliated, Simon fled the scene. He wandered aimlessly, too ashamed to go home, too afraid to tell Monica. Why was fate so cruel to him? After that day, his temper began to deteriorate. He started giving Tom arbitrary tasks, ones no child should be expected to handle. Monica naturally intervened, but Simon, no longer the gentle man she married, snapped at her. "You grew up pampered. Don't raise Tom the same way." That crushed her. She had given everything up, her job, her comforts, to become part of this family. How could he say that? "Fine, if that's what you think. Then I'm done. I won't care anymore. She stormed out of the house and returned to her parents' place. Simon didn't follow. Later, after cooling off, he soothed Tom to sleep, then sat alone on the living room floor. He stared at a photo of the three of them and broke down. At her family home, Monica waited, but Simon never came to bring her back. In the end, she couldn't hold out. She missed Simon and Tom too much. Pride meant nothing next to love. The next morning, she returned. Today was the preschool parent-child event. She was Tom's mom now, after all. But when she got home, the house was empty. Simon and Tom had already left. "Humph. How dare you not wait for me?" she muttered. As she turned to leave, something in the trash caught her eye. A medicine box. She knew every supplement in their home. This one? She had never seen before. It wasn't Tom's. It wasn't hers. It had to be Simon's. Chapter 21. Monica picked up the medicine box and hesitated for a moment. Simon had indeed been taking some vitamins and supplements lately. But what was this box? It had a long name printed on it in English, a medication Monica didn't recognize. Aside from that, there was no further information. Driven by curiosity, Monica scanned the QR code on the box with her phone. When the page loaded, she was stunned. It clearly showed that the drug was a prescription medication used to slow the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's, the word itself frightened Monica. Her emotions were now far beyond anything that could be called chaotic. A WeChat notification sounded. It was a video message from Robin. Monica tapped to open it immediately. The video showed Simon at a recent company celebration event, losing control of his bladder. Robin was kindly warning her. "Moni, are you squeezing your man a little too hard? He's not even that old, but it looks like his kidneys are already giving out. I'm telling you, this kind of thing needs to be treated early. Otherwise, you'll be the one suffering in a few years." It was too much information at once, like a flood crashing into Monica's mind. She suddenly recalled Simon's recent strange behavior. Aside from his sudden and inexplicable irritability, there were also times when he'd blank out for long stretches. Unlike normal daydreaming, Simon looked completely disconnected from the world during those moments. Monica often had to call his name several times before he responded. When he came back to himself, he always brushed it off, saying he was just overwhelmed and zoned out. But Monica's unease only grew deeper and heavier. The mysterious pill bottle, the video of him losing control, the outbursts, the long mental blackouts, all of it seemed to point in the same direction. Alzheimer's. But who? Could it really be Simon? Monica couldn't believe such a terrifying truth. She had seen the video, Simon, in the midst of that accident at the celebration, being ridiculed by the crowd. How helpless and humiliated he must have felt in that moment. Yet she had been completely oblivious. Thinking of this, she immediately rushed out the door and ran toward Tom's kindergarten. Chapter 22. At the kindergarten, Simon was attending an event with Tom. During the activity, the teacher asked the children about their special skills. When it was Tom's turn, he looked a little aggrieved. "I know how to do my own laundry, clean up my room, and take care of myself." He was only 5, yet every word he spoke reflected maturity and thoughtfulness beyond his years. "I do my own things by myself. Tom doesn't make trouble for mommy and daddy." Hearing his son's words, Simon couldn't hold it in any longer. He made an excuse to leave the classroom. He turned into an empty corner and slowly slid to the ground, his body trembling as he cried in silence, deep, painful sobs. Soft footsteps approached from behind. Then came Monica's familiar voice. "You know how to do laundry, clean the house, and take care of yourself. You do your own things and don't want to burden mommy and daddy. Today, I finally understood why you were so desperate for Tom to grow up. He's only 5, he should be carefree and playing. Yet you're forcing him to become independent too soon." As she spoke, Monica's voice began to tremble. She crouched down and wrapped her arms around Simon. That long-missed warmth. Simon didn't push her away. "I saw the pill box you threw away. Simon, I know everything now. Do you remember the vows we made when we got married? Neither poverty nor illness will tear us apart. Simon, I won't leave you. I won't ignore this. I'll stay with you and do everything I can to take care of Tom. So please, promise me we'll face this together, okay?" I'll find you the best doctors. We'll fight this illness together. Crying, she turned Simon's face toward her and looked into his eyes. Promise me, even if just for our son and me. Please, don't give up. No matter how big the challenge, Tom and I will be there with you. Simon's face was covered in tears. He slowly lifted his head and looked at Monica, dazed. But the determination in Monica's eyes reached him. He nodded, fiercely. The adult world was far too complex. Tom had no idea something was wrong between his parents. On the contrary, he was thrilled they both came to join the event. The teacher praised me today and said I'm such a responsible boy. My classmates are jealous. Little Duo can't even dress herself yet. I already know how to do laundry. She said, Tom, you're amazing. Mommy, Daddy, am I amazing? Looking at cheerful, innocent Tom, Monica and Simon forced a smile. They exchanged glances, each fully understanding the helplessness in the other's eyes. Chapter 23. After that, Simon began to focus entirely on his treatment. As agreed with Monica, he actively followed the doctor's treatment plan. He firmly believed that the three of them, after all the hardships, had finally reunited. And as long as they didn't give up, nothing could tear them apart. The doctor's plan helped slow down Simon's illness, but he still experienced occasional memory blackouts, and those blackouts were growing in both frequency and duration. Gradually, his memory began to fade. Bit by bit, Simon joked about it himself, saying it was like his hard drive had a virus, and data was being deleted continuously. He feared even the precious memories they shared as a family might vanish too. Simon fought with all his strength, but he couldn't stop the disease from advancing. As his memory slipped away, his physical functions also started to decline. During this period, Monica stayed by his side without fail, caring for him, to make up for the memories he lost. She even turned their journey, from meeting to knowing and loving each other, into a comic. When the room was filled with those comic frames, their stories seemed to come alive again. Monica also printed out old photos of them together, placing them in every corner of the house. She wanted Simon to be able to see their shared memories with just a glance. During the day, Monica would play their old videos on the TV on loop. She hoped that all of it, could somehow bring back Simon's lost memories. And maybe true love really could move heaven. Surrounded by all these fragments of memory, Simon really did begin to awaken from his amnesia. He remembered Monica, remembered Tom, remembered every little moment they'd shared. These moments of clarity came and went, inconsistently, every time Simon returned from his mental blankness. He would look at the comics and photos all over the room and smile from the bottom of his heart. He was joyful at recovering his memories, joyful for the happiness they once had. But right after that joy, he would remember the agony of being lost in forgetfulness. The drastic contrast made him go from smiling to bursting into tears within seconds. During those moments, he tried desperately to hold on to his awareness, asking Monica about everything while he still could. Because he forgot so much, Simon always asked the same kinds of questions. Are you doing okay? Is it hard for you? Is Tom doing well? He always asked about others, but never once remembered to ask about his own illness. Monica's heart ached watching him like this. Still, she patiently answered every one of his questions. As she spoke, Simon would again fall into blankness. Monica knew that this conversation, this memory, might have already vanished from Simon's world. Looking at the dazed, expressionless Simon before her, he smiled, yet there was no life in his eyes. Monica would hold him and cry uncontrollably. Fate had been too cruel to Simon. Eventually, this became a daily routine. Over time, Monica grew used to staying by Simon's side like this. Time passed, and Simon forgot many things, to the point where he couldn't even care for himself. It was as if he had returned to the beginning of life itself. Chapter 24. That day, Simon lay in the bedroom. Monica was tidying up in the living room. Suddenly, Simon's mind cleared up. When he saw the room full of photos, he realized they were fragments of their family's happiness. Those fragments slowly came together in his heart, forming a complete memory. Simon smiled radiantly. He no longer cried. Simon slowly looked around and spotted the nearest photo. In the picture, Tom was already a full head taller than Monica. If Simon were standing, Tom would probably be about as tall as him now. and Monica now had the grace and poise of a mature woman, no longer the blushing young lady she once was. Both of them had grown so much, right before his eyes, without him even realizing it. Simon suddenly became aware that time had left no trace in his world. He staggered into the living room and saw his beloved Monica. Seeing Simon come out, Monica wasn't surprised. She softly called his name and guided him to sit on the couch. Tom got accepted into a top medical school. She began, as if recounting a distant tale, and I started an Alzheimer's research foundation, hoping to help patients around the world. She gently held Simon's hand and continued. We're all doing really well. Sophia came to see you yesterday too. She's hit a rough patch lately, got fined heavily for false advertising during one of her live streams. Her account was shut down. She looked a lot older, probably from all the stress. Monica smiled faintly. My dad finally came around. He took Hudson and is traveling the world now. The Sue family business is doing fine. It's all been handed to me. I couldn't handle it all alone. But Tom helps out. He's very smart, not only excelling in medicine but also gifted in business. Would you believe it? He came up with a plan to modernize traditional Chinese medicine. According to his vision, affordable Chinese medicine would become accessible to ordinary families. That's incredible. It could really benefit humanity. The more Monica spoke, the more animated she became. Her enthusiasm infected Simon. He listened attentively, looking at Monica. And for a moment, he was transported back to when they first met. Back then, Monica was a young woman in her prime, full of youthful vigor and fearless confidence. This was the woman he had always loved, so beautiful. Simon could no longer suppress the love in his heart and suddenly kissed Monica. Monica's voice stopped abruptly. That kiss lasted for who knows how long. Neither of them wanted to pull away. When Monica finally let go of his lips, she found that Simon had once again fallen into a state of emptiness and oblivion. This kind of moment, after so many years, was no longer new to her. Monica sighed and gently helped Simon back to bed. Chapter 25. Years later, Simon's condition had reached its final stage. In his final hours, Monica and Tom were at his side. Suddenly, Simon opened his eyes. You're both here? He looked at them, Monica and Tom. Both nodded, eyes already brimming with tears. Simon reached out with difficulty to wipe a tear from Monica's cheek. You're not a little girl anymore. Still crying like that, how can I be at peace? Monica stayed silent. Tom leaned forward quickly. Dad, I've grown up now. I'll take care of Mom from now on. Simon gazed at his son, now a grown man, and patted his shoulder. Your mother has always been delicate. She's endured so much, followed me through hardship, never a single day of peace. That's my greatest regret in life. My son, promise me, make up for what I couldn't give her. He turned to Tom once more. And I regret not being there to watch you grow up. Tom, seeing the man you've become fills me with pride. I only wish I had more time to witness every step of your journey. Tom clutched his hand tightly, crying as he shook his head. No, you were always with me. You're the best father I could ask for. Simon smiled gently and nodded. No more tears, grown men crying like that, not very cool. Huh? Then, he looked toward Monica, eyes filled with deep affection. The first time I met you, I thought, this girl, what a dazzling presence. So beautiful, so kind. You barged straight into my heart. I never imagined someone like you would love someone like me. That was the greatest blessing of my life. Monica, I'm sorry. I loved you so deeply. And yet I forgot you. Forgot so many of our memories. If there is another life, I'll make it up to you. I swear it. He raised a hand, gently caressing her face. That beloved face he longed to engrave into his soul. If only they could create more memories, ones he'd never forget again. Tears streamed down Monica's cheeks. She gripped his hand firmly. No, you didn't let me down. I've always known, you've loved me the most. And I love you just the same. Not just in the next life, but in every life, every world. I'll find you, and when I do, you'd better not forget me again. Simon nodded firmly. That small motion seemed to drain the last of his strength. His gaze passed beyond Monica, out the window, toward the distance. In his eyes were unspoken goodbyes to Monica and Tom. A yearning for their promised future. And a will to live, so strong, so tender. I really love you both, so much. His lips moved, but Monica could no longer hear his voice. Simon's head slowly leaned into Monica's embrace, and the last thread of life quietly slipped away. One hand still held Monica's, the other held Tom's, just like the countless happy days when the three of them were inseparable. Tom stared at his father's peaceful expression, half expecting him to open his eyes any second and say, "Tom, come on, let's go get some hamburger with mommy." But that simple, extraordinary life had finally reached its end.